Okay, there you go. As I said, the eWarrant system has been going over about 6 years now. We're in about 15 counties at this point. We're about to start with 3 more probably next week, and that will be the 4th Circuit. That will be all 5 counties there, and the 4th Circuit will be live. We're also looking at the same time, talking to you guys, looking at Jefferson County to go live. I don't yet have a date when Montgomery County is going to go live, but I think it's going to be soon after we get everybody with MPD trained. The county is already trained. Basically, all this system does is it takes your your paper warrant that you have and converts it into an electronic warrant. So it's not necessarily really going to change the flow of how you handle the warrants and how the court handles them. It's just more about not relying on this piece of paper anymore. So, the goals with this and what the program does is it keeps everybody on the same page. Everybody that has access to this system, and that can be anybody that's granted the access, will be able to log into one place and be able to see what status this warrant's in. Has it already been served? Has it already been requested? Has it been recalled? So that should cut down on folks getting picked up twice on the same warrant. I know it doesn't happen often, but that's, if everybody does the right thing, that won't happen. You won't have to have this situation where one person's waiting for this piece of paper to come around to tell you what status this warrant's in. It'll all be real time and established. Judges, everybody. That way the judges can have their 48-hour hearings on time. So that's the main goal of the system. So what I'm going to show you today is we're just going to walk through the process of requesting a warrant and then swearing to a warrant, and then going from there to how you would go in and execute the warrant as well. So what I'm showing you today is how the system's going to work when you first go live, which is requesting the warrant. The main thing there is what we're working on is integrating with different software vendors. I believe you guys use New World, if I'm right. I think we've talked to all the vendors in the state. We're talking to New World because they do Jefferson County and Birmingham Police Department as well, I think. So we are working on getting those integrated. When that happens, this will be a lot shorter process, because then you're already putting in your information in the New World. It will just send the information over to our program to build that warrant. So you won't have some things that you're putting in twice. So that's going to save a lot of time. So we're working on trying to get that done as soon as possible, and we'll have more information coming on that. But so what I'm showing you today is going to be, the process that you're going to have starting out. So let me share my screen here. Okay. All right, so what you see here is this is the login screen. Now it should look familiar to you here as your ALICOP and your sign in, what you're used to seeing. But what you'll see here is actually this is a web-based site, so you can't get here through the normal way you go into ALICOP. You're actually going to go to any internet browser. It should work on Chrome, Internet Explorer, Firefox. We haven't run across any, I don't think, that it hasn't worked on yet, but certainly works with all the major ones. And you're going to go to the website https:// and it's warrant.alicourt.gov. Of course, you really only have to put that in one time. You can bookmark it so that you can go there quickly, but and you can just put in warrant.alicourt.gov. That usually works, but I just point out if that gives you any problem, if you're not able to get there, make sure you're adding that HTTPS instead of just HTTP, because it's a secure website. With some browsers, sometimes for whatever reason, I've seen that as a problem before. So this will be the website that you go to actually log in. As far as getting access here to this, you'll need to contact your AISOs. AISOs, you should be turned on shortly. I'm in contact with Aaliyah, and usually they do a good job of getting the ones turned on that need to be. But if you're an AISO, or if your AISO says they have problems, just have them get in touch with me either directly. I'll have my contact info, or they can contact the clerk, and she knows how to get me, and I'll get up with Aaliyah and get you turned on. So once you get here, you're just going to use your Aliquot credentials. Those are the same. You're going to log in, and the first screen that you come to is the home screen for it says Alabama Warrant Portal. We usually just refer to it as the portal. This is where you'll take actions on the warrant. This is where you'll request it. This is where you'll go to swear to it and to mark it executed. So we'll get into this in just a minute on what comes up here at first, but we're just going to start like at the beginning, as if you were logging in and you're requesting a warrant. So you're going to click on this tab right here, Request Warrant. And basically how this works is, you can see this tab here at the top. This is your charges, where you're going to put the charges in. And then it just goes from tab to tab to tab, and not all of these tabs are necessary. Obviously, some of them are not going to apply to what you need to put in. In that case, you can just skip over them by clicking this next. But otherwise, you're going to enter information in each one, click on next until you get to the end, and then submit it. So that's what we'll look at. This first tab here for your charges, this is going to be the hardest part as far as this goes. The rest of it's very simple. It's very intuitive. This is new, and this is what takes the most time to get used to. The first couple, I usually recommend, you might just want to contact the clerk's office and say, I've got something to do here. Is it all right if I just come in and, I'll bring my laptop and we can sit down and work on this together until you get used to it. That's how the other counties have kind of rolled this out. Other people just kind of launch into it and they're able to do it on their own. We are training the magistrates in Montgomery County. We've trained them before when we were training the county, and I'm sure we'll do a refresher here soon. So they'll be aware that this is something that's not overnight. It's going to take going through it a few times and requesting 2 or 3 warrants until you get used to it. But they're aware of that, and they're going to work with you. And 2, we're not just turning this on and then we're gone. We're here. Again, I'll have our contact information. You can get in touch with us whenever you need to. So basically how this works, it's going to default to your county. We're just using a test county for now. And this is where you're going to add the charge. Now, we're using the court's charge codes here, which I understand are different from y'all's charge codes. What I recommend here is I'll get the clerk to print out a list of the most commonly used charge codes, so you have that to refer to. That's the best way to do it, because you're usually putting in some of the same ones. And a lot of ours are pretty intuitive, like theft of property is TOP. Different ones like that, you'll just get to where you know what those are. But there are different ways to search here as well. So I'm just pointing those out because those are quick. If you need to know what it is and you have a handout, you can look it up real quickly and refer to it. But otherwise, we've got a lot of different ways you can search here. First way is searching by that charge code. So I know it's theft of property second or something like that, and ours is TOP, then you can put in TOP2. That's our theft of property second charge, and you see it's pulled up all of our charges that are TOP2, which is attempt, conspiracy, and the theft of property second. So you can search by code and select that way. You can also search by literal word. So if I know it's theft, but I'm not sure which one, and I want to look at all the statutes that's got the word theft in it, I can just put in theft, and then you can see it's going to pull back every charge that's got the word theft in it. Now that could be a bad way to do it, because you see here I've got 87 different items that return. But if I wanted to, I could scroll through and look for the one that I'm looking for, go page by page, that kind of thing. And you may have a way to narrow that down. I could have put in theft of property, and it would limit that even more. You can see there now we're down to 17 items, starting here. Another way to search here is by the citation code. I don't usually recommend this just because, you know, as you're kind of trying to type that in 13A dash and you pause and you look down to see what the rest of it is, the system will start searching. So if you just get that 13A in and wait, it's going to pull back every charge in 13A. And if you've got a bad internet connection or something like that, it could take a while for that to work, or it may even lock up your machine. So, you know, you could search by that. You may cut and paste in there and look that way. But just generally speaking, I would recommend searching by one of these other two. But again, I'd get with we'll get with the clerk on getting you a list of the commonly used codes. For our example, we're just going to do theft of property second as an example. So I would put that in. That's the one I want. I don't want attempt or conspiracy. This was an actual theft of property. So I'm going to click on that. And now this part right here, this is where you're going to put in the charge description, or the literal language is what we refer to it, the charge literal. And you can either, you know, the option that defaults is none. You can type that in yourself. But I recommend going in here, and what you'll see is, you know, theft of property second has a lot of different subparts. You know, it's not just, it could be they stole, you know, over a certain amount, but not up to this amount. It could be they stole a credit card or livestock. You know, there's different parts of those statutes. So anytime you're using a charge where that statute has multiple sections that you can choose, it's going to give you different options here. And don't worry about if it says -A or -H. That's just something for the computer code. But when you see multiple, you know that there's different parts of that statute. So when you look at theft of property second A, and I think y'all would have separate charge codes for each of those in your system. We do it here. It's all under theft of property second, but it's going to depend, depending on what you want to use, then you're going to choose a different literal. So you can see I picked the first one here. I can read through and say, okay, this is I'm doing a theft of property charge over control of a credit card. So I see there's control over a credit card there. So this is the one I want to use. And then it's just a matter of filling in these blanks, did on or about, may, whatever. Or I may say, no, that's not the right one. I can look at this other one and I say, did on or about this date, did control this, the property of so-and-so and the value of blank, and I may decide, you know, okay, this is the one that I want. Another option is you can always, if there's multiple sections, there's always going to be an all selection here. So you click on all, then it's pulled in both those. So you can see here's that first one we looked at, and then on the end it's tacked on that other one. Then I can pick and choose and say, you know, I want to delete out this part, I want to keep this part. Usually better to find that specific one you're looking for. You know, like say I'm going to take this one right here, and I'm going to fill in the blanks like this. Now here, you know, don't get caught up on, all right, I'm going to put in the date. It was May 1st, 2020. And you see it's left these lines in here. That's fine. You don't have to delete these. I know a lot of people like to clean that up. So, you know, they either do that and, you know, space it out correctly. It really doesn't matter. You can certainly leave those lines in there, and it really makes no difference. You could say this is going to be the property of John Smith. Oh, I'm sorry. The following property, we'll say a four-wheeler, property of John Smith, and the value of it was $1,500. And then you can say, well, it was property, it wasn't a credit card, so I'm going to delete that out. It wasn't a firearm. It wasn't controlled substance. Basically, none of this part's going to apply to mine. The defendant hadn't previously been convicted, so that doesn't apply. I'm going to delete all this basically, except for this end part here, with the intent to deprive the owner of said property. And then you can delete out the rest because that doesn't apply to you. And period, that's it. So this part, like I said, this is going to be the hardest. First thing right off the bat is going to be the hardest part of getting used to this. But this is the part too that we're making the magistrates aware. you guys don't know how to do this, so they need to work with you on doing this. Whenever these come in, they're going to make sure that they review these very closely. They have the ability to go in and edit all of these, so they're certainly going to fix it until it has the right language in it, and let you know what it is that they've changed. So this is the part that's going to take some getting used to, but you can see it's really not that complicated. Again, like I said, these lines and the formatting don't really matter. It's the language that's important. So once you have the charge in, you just click OK, and you see now I've added the charge. Now, you'll see for each of these screens, you'll see these controls. So if I wanted to add additional charges, or if I need to go in and edit it, I can click on that and then click edit, and then I can go in and change whatever I need to, or I can delete it and start over if I want to as well. Now you see the add button. We do have the capability to add multiple charges onto the same warrant. That's going to be something for y'all to decide in your jurisdiction how you're going to handle that. You probably with the clerk's office on how they want to handle it. I know a lot of counties do take advantage of this, and they have started doing multiple charges on the same warrant. But generally speaking, they only do that if there's just one victim. I think it can get a little bit confusing if you start adding additional theft charges on here for the same defendant, and there's multiple victims, there's multiple property. It can get a little bit confusing to track then, well, this property went with this victim and these witnesses went with this. So most of the counties, I think all of them really, that are doing the multiple charges on the same warrant, they limit that to a situation where it's the same victim. So you might have drug charges or something like that. But again, that'll be something we'll discuss with the clerk's office and get word out on that, on how y'all are going to handle that. If you are just doing separate charges all the time on the same warrant, I'll show you when we get to the end. There's a good way where you can save all this information. So when you go back to start another request, you don't have to start from the scratch and put all this in again. If let's say also, let's say it's the same charge, but you've got a co-defendant. There's a way that when you get to the end, you can save the charge, you can save all the witness information, all of that, and just simply go back, put in the new defendant, and click on finish, and then you submitted another warrant request. So I'll show you that when we get to the end. But this is essentially how you put the charge in. And again, we're done with this tab. We're going to click on next. So this is your offense information. It's pretty self-explanatory. Like I said, we'll say this was May the 1st. So I'd find that date, click it. You can put in the time that it occurred, or approximate time, whatever. Click on OK. Your offense description, this is where you're going to put just the information that you need to convey to the magistrate to establish probable cause. So this is going to be your, just your basic stuff here, your who, where, what, why, to communicate over to the magistrate what happened and everything to get that probable cause. So with this, obviously you don't want to give too little information where the magistrate can't figure out what happened, or not enough information there to let them figure out if there's probable cause. But at the same time, you don't want to go overboard here and give away your whole case, because this is going to be, once the warrant's served, a warrant becomes public information. So early on, one of the first counties, an officer had a capital murder case, and they just took from their report, their IO report, they took the entire description of everything they had and just cut and pasted that over. And there's nothing wrong with cut and pasting. You can do that. I would just recommend then editing out things you don't need. But basically, they had the whole case in here. And it went through the system and got that way. So once the warrant was served, that became public information, and the press got a hold of it. So it was not a good situation. So be aware that this is going to become public, but this is where also you need to put just enough facts so the magistrate can say, yeah, I find there's probable cause here. So this just, like I said, your who, where, what, why, I'm just putting as an example, a neighbor witnessed the defendant stealing the four-wheeler from the victim's garage. You know, what have you. I know that's probably not enough as well, but just as an example, that's where you type that in. You're going to put your address here. And then that is all that's required on the screen. Now, like I said, on some of these tabs, nothing's required. On some of these tabs, some things are required, like this part right here is required. The rest is optional. You don't have to worry about knowing, well, what's required and what's not. If you miss something that's required and you go to click on this next tab, it's going to throw up an error. It's going to say, hey, hang on a second, you know, we need this date here. You didn't fill that in. But for this one, I could go ahead and click next. But there is some optional stuff if you wanted to put this information in. If you worked with another agency and you want to record that here, you click on that and you can search by you know, the agency code, the ORI number, or you can search by the agency name. Like if you work with the sheriff's office, you know, I can put that in and I can find theirs. You can click on that. And then if there was a specific officer, you can type that in there, their name. Again, all that's optional. If there was a drug or weapon involved, you can check off one of these boxes. If there wasn't, obviously you just leave them blank. You don't have to check these, like I said, but if you do check one, it is going to ask you to put in, you know, what it was. So it'll say, you know, he had a knife in his possession. I can keep that there. So when everything looks good and you're ready to go, you just click on next. This is your complaint information. When you're putting these in, I imagine that's always going to be you, the officer that's requesting it. So you just type your information in here, and then your address here of, and I'm not sure what the address is of the station, put that in, and then your contact information if you want to, and you click on OK. And that's it. It's going to add your complainant info in there. I don't think there'll be a situation where you have multiple complainants, but if you did, you could continue adding that information there. Otherwise, you're going to click on next. And this is your defendant information tab. Now you'll see here, it was on the complainant as well, but on each of these panes where you're putting in contact information, you do have the ability to search by driver's license number or non-driver's license if you have that as well. Now, all the states pop up, but all we have is Alabama, and this is actually tied to ALEA's record. So this is pulling in current ALEA information, not court information. So that could be out of date. Obviously, you want to get the correct information, but if you're not already getting driver's license numbers, you know, for victims and people like that, you might want to go ahead and start, because this is a quick way. You know, I'll show you. You just put in that information, click on search, and then it's going to pull in what ALEA has. So it's pulled in my information here. I'm going to change this out here. And then you'll see that it's pulled in the address. Again, this is what ALEA has and marked it as the current address. Even though it's pulled that in, you still need to click on this add new right here. This is what throws a lot of people off, the first one they do, but it doesn't automatically add it. It's just putting in there, is this the address you want to use? If this is the one you want to use, you just click on add new, and you see it's added it down here and it's got it clicked off as current. You can put multiple addresses in here. So if you've got mama's address here or girlfriend's address, and you want to put that in as well, you can add it here, and you would just do add new, and you can see it's listed here. I could continue adding addresses here, but one has to be clicked off as the current address, because that's the one that's actually going to display on your warrant, on your paperwork. So one needs to be checked off, but you can store multiple addresses here. And you can see here we've got some more optional information over here, alternate name, alias, if you want to put something like that. Additional contact information you may have on them. If they have employer information, you could put that there. And then you see down here, the demographic information is pulled over from ALEA as well, but you can also make note of if they do or don't have a violent past that you know of. You can fill in additional information that may not be here already, you know, tattoos or what have you. It does require a social security number, so if I were to leave that blank and click on OK, you'll see that's where it's going to give me a message here that it has to have a social. But if you don't know the social, don't have the social, you can put in all nines and the system will accept that. But this is programmed, you know, trying to get all the identifying information that we can get. That's what ALEA wants. That's what everybody wants these days. So anything and everything that you have, I encourage you to put that in. So that's why that's required. It's just to remind you, if you have the social, put it in. If you don't, then you can just put in all nines, or really anything that starts with a 9, and it'll accept that. And so you click on OK. Now you've added your defendant. Here too, you could add co-defendants. You see we've got the program in place where a co-defendant could be added. I don't know of any counties that are live that are doing that. I think it gets too confusing. I think most have left it as one warrant per defendant. But that may be something, again, for your jurisdiction to look at. And if you decide that is the way you want to go, then it's already built in here in the programming, and you can add it if you want to. All right, so at this point, these first four tabs, these are the only ones that are required. So at this point, if you were done, if there was nothing else you needed to put in, you could sit here and click on next and just go all the way down to the end, submit it, and then you're done. But otherwise, you know, there are some, obviously, that you are going to want to record information. Like, for example, this case, we're talking theft, there is a victim. You don't ever have to put the state of Alabama as a victim. That's assumed, so it's going to generate subpoenas accordingly. You never have to put the state in here. But in this case, obviously, it's a theft, so you did have a victim. Now, you see here, for your victims, we have a tab up here. If the victim was the same as the complainant, then you would just check that tab, and it would fill in all that information that you put in for the complainant. Generally, that's not going to be the case with you all. Now, you know, if it's somebody just came in off the street and they're wanting a warrant, I think my understanding is y'all have them, they do a report with you first, and then they go over to the clerk's office to obtain the warrant. So that's going to stay the same. So in that situation, you know, if a clerk's doing it, they're probably going to use that. The complainant's going to be the person wanting that warrant, so they're going to use that. But generally, this case, again, you could do a driver's license search and pull in their information, or you would just type in their name. Any other, some of this stuff's optional, but information that you have on them right here. Contact information. Then we have some more optional here. You know, if the victim went to the hospital or they received medical treatment, you can click those, and then you can also put in if they received injuries and a brief description of the attack if you want to. Obviously, it wouldn't apply on theft, but I'm just going to do it just for demonstration so you can see at the end where that goes. Just put in some tests in here so you can see it. When you're done with that, you click OK. You have multiple victims, same thing. You would just click on add, put in their information, and click OK. And you can continue doing that, add as many as you need to. And again, if you needed to edit one, you'd edit and delete here. When you're done with the victims, you just click on the next tab. Property, this is theft, so obviously property is going to apply. You click on add. You say whether or not it was stolen, yes. Description, Honda, four-wheeler, whatever. You know, the value or the approximate value, say $1,200. And then if it was damaged in some way, if you want to put a description right here, you just type that in, you know, just an example, click OK. And again, this is something I've seen too, different jurisdictions using this different ways. You know, say if it was multiple items, you could continue to add the property here and break each one down. Or, you know, some places, especially when it's a lot of items, they might just put, you know, add and just put in for description multiple household items and then put the total approximate value. Just depends on how you want to do that. All right, so we've got the property in. You're going to click on next. Your witnesses, same concept here. There's a driver's license search to pull them in that way. Otherwise, you just type in their information here. And you have a little optional thing here if you want to say, this is the neighbor. She will testify she saw defendant stealing four-wheeler. So whatever you want to put in there, that's free form. So okay. Multiple witnesses, same concept. You just click on add, keep adding your victim's information here. You're done there. Next, this arrest tab, you can just skip over that. That's something we're working on for future development right now. Nothing's working with that, so you just skip that, click on next. This comments tab, additional comment here. This is basically, different jurisdictions are using this all kind of different ways. This is just, if there's something you want to communicate directly to the magistrate or to the judge, you can type that information in here, and this information will not print on any of the warrant paperwork. So, you know, like I said, there are different things that these different places are using for this. You know, like I heard one said, you know, on our domestic violence charges we may put in here, this was our third visit this week at this address, maybe something like that. Something that you may not have in your facts or in your offense description, but you do want to get that information over to them. You know, maybe something like, this guy gave us a hard time when he was arrested. You know, really just anything and everything you can think of. Be aware, again, this does not print out on anything, so it is, you know, more or less staying private, but I also caution, we don't know if this is discoverable or not. So if I would lean towards saying it probably is discoverable. You know, if a defense attorney were to find out that's in there and wanted to know what that information is and filed a motion for discovery, I'm going to guess that it would probably be provided. So don't go too crazy in here, you know, 4-letter words or anything like that you don't want. If it's something you don't want coming out in court later or something like that, obviously don't want to put that in here. But again, you know, the sky's kind of the limit on, you know, different jurisdictions doing this different ways. But whenever that's done, you just click on next. Your miscellaneous tab, this is where you have extradition information. You can leave this blank and it will default to statewide. You can put that in there if you want to. Obviously, this program is only statewide, and insofar as showing up as an electronic warrant, it's only going to be right now in the counties that we're live in. I mean, we anticipate that one day it was going to be all the counties. That's the way this is going. Eventually, I think we'll get to where the Chief Justice will issue an order and say, you know, by such and such date, every county will be using eWarrants. But you know, obviously there's different rules for whether or not a different jurisdiction is going to extradite, so you don't have a lot of control over that anyway. So you can leave it blank and it will be statewide. But I do want to point out there is this option here for private jurisdiction or private extradition. And basically what that means is if you put in private here, then you are going to be the only person that can see that warrant until it's executed. You and the magistrate, of course, or the judge are going to be the only ones that can see it. So this usually comes in handy where we see this used a lot is like drug task force when they're about to do a big drug task force roundup. They might want to put this in private. You know, that way, if it's, you know, John Smith before he runs a red light and gets pulled over for that it doesn't flag, and you know, then they get that warrant for drugs served on them and give them a tip, you know, a tip off that there's about to be a big roundup or something like that. So you can leave it in private. That means that only as far as in your agency, you're going to be the only one that can actually see this warrant until it's executed. Again, otherwise it's going to default to statewide, or you can put statewide in there. Tracking right here, this is where if you wanted to put your case number on it, then you could store that so that you could come back. I'll show you when we get to the searches, there's a lot of different ways you can search, but if later on you want to search by your case number, and I don't know how y'all do your case numbers, but you know, let's say it's something like that, you can record that information there, click on OK, and then it will save it there. So later on when I'm doing a search, I could search by that number as opposed to searching by name or address or whatever else. But again, that's optional. You can just leave it blank. You click on next, you're pretty much done at this point. So this just gives you a preview if you want to look over what you've done to be sure. These are hyperlinks. So you see if you just hover over it and then click on it, it's going to pull up the PDF version of your deposition. Here is the one I clicked on. So you can, it's just PDF file, so you can look at it here, review it, see if everything's okay. You can print it, you can save it, just like any PDF at this stage if you wanted to. So you can see it's pulled in all the information here. It's redacted the social security number. If you had the driver's license, that's going to display. Here's where your offense information was recorded. So it's pulled in that charge, the information that you put in. You can see here we put in that we contacted another agency, so it displayed it, and that there was a weapon, so we put that in. There's your your details of offense, or your offense description, your who, where, what, why, to get the probable cause. There's your property. It's pulled in all that information that we put in, victims. And then here, your witnesses. You'll see here there's not signatures. When it's actually processed, it will supply the electronic signatures. You don't have anything you have to sign. It knows who you are because you logged in. It's going to put /S and then your name. And the same thing when the magistrate actually issues it, it's going to use an electronic signature as well. So that just lets you take a look at it. Here's your complaint that it generates. Again, you can review it here if you want to. It's pulled in the defendant's name, the date and time, the charge. Here's that literal language that you put in on or about. Did do all this. That's all pulled in. There's the actual code citation. And then again, your signatures will get filled in later. But then it lists your witnesses here as well. So if you look over that, you say, I need to go back and change something, you can go back and just click on whatever tab that applies and go in and do edit, and you can change that information. Otherwise, everything looks good, or you've made all the changes, then you're going to click on finish. And then you'll get a confirmation here. The warrant has been submitted, so it's been sent over electronically to the clerk's office at this point. And then it also generates this document ID. You don't need to do anything with this, but again, this is a unique ID that our system generates for this particular warrant. So if you did save this, put it in your file or whatever, and later on when you did a search, rather than by name, if this guy's got like 50 warrants, you might want to, again, you can search by your case number if you put it in there, or if you save this document ID, you can search by that. So there's a lot of different ways you can search. Otherwise, you don't want to keep up with it, that's fine. You just click on finish. And then this is what I was talking about. Like, let's say in this example, I'm done with this one, but I got a co-defendant. So I'm ready to put the co-defendants in. And I know it's going to be the same charge, same victims. All this stuff is going to be the same. The offense, the property, the complainant, the witnesses. I'm doing a co-defendant, so it's a different co-defendant. I would leave that one blank. But the arrest, the arrest information, let's say I arrested them at the same time, so I do want to keep that as well. I can click on whatever I want to keep and click those, and then click on OK. And then it takes me right back to where I'm ready to do another warrant request. And it's kept all that information in that I wanted to keep. So I don't have to put all this in again. I'd leave that the same, click on next. All this stuff will say everything was the same but the defendant. And you see now when I get to the defendant, that's blank. So that's where I put in the co-defendant's information. And again, I can search by driver's license, whatever, click on OK. And then once I have that in, I would just click next all the way again to the end, click on submit, and then that warrant has been submitted over. So you can do that. Again, if y'all decide not to do multiple charges on the same warrant, same kind of thing. You can save all the information, including the defendant's information, click on the finish button, and it'll take you right back to the start and save all that information. So that's a good way to save a lot of time. All right, so at this point, I will go ahead and pause if there's any questions. So really, all we've covered at this point is how you just request the warrant and how now that's submitted over to the clerk's office. and we're before you've actually sworn to it. I'll go into that in next, but are there any questions right now on that process as far as how to request a warrant? And again, I'll remind you, you may be on mute. If you look toward the bottom left corner, you should see a button there for mute or unmute. That's how you would unmute yourself. And then you can also type a message in chat here if you have any questions. So any questions on that part? Okay, and again, you can contact us after this, so I'll have our contact information up. Okay, so now you're ready to swear to the warrant. There are two different ways that you can swear to the warrant: in person, or you can do it remotely using Zoom, this application that we're using right now. So I'll show you the in-person swearing first. How that would work is you're basically going to, go into the clerk's office as you do now, let them know that you're ready to swear to a warrant. They will have a computer designated for you to use so that you can log into this warrant portal. You could also bring in your laptop and log in to your own if you want to do it that way. But basically, you're just going to go to this website. And again, it's web-based, so you can do it from anywhere. You're going to log in, get into the portal, and then you're going to go to searches. You're going to do new warrant search, and you're going to pull up that warrant that you just did. You can see here we've got a lot of different ways that you can search. You can search by name, the complainant or the victim's name. You can search just by agency or the officer. You could, just put in your own name and search that way. That document ID, that's the ID that's generated at the end of the request. If you save that. Miscellaneous, this is where if you put in your case number or whatever kind of identifying number, you can search by that. Defendant address, or the date that it was issued. So, I imagine generally you're just going to be searching by defendant. So I believe we did this, and we're doing Test County. Now you see here, I can just do, if I leave it as all here, and I'll go ahead and leave this blank so we can see more. If I do all and click on search, then it's going to pull back every warrant that the last name is Test, or whatever name you put in there. I put in Test, and you can see it gives me the status for each one. So this one's been requested, but it hasn't been issued yet. There's some that have been executed, recalled, whatever. You're going to see them all here, and you can see there's pages. We got a lot in here as Test. What I recommend doing is kind of getting used to using these buttons so that you limit the scope, and that helps you so you don't have to go through as many, but it also helps you so you don't get the wrong thing at the wrong time. Like right now, I know that I'm looking just for a warrant that has been requested, but it hadn't been issued yet. So I can limit it to just show me requested at this point. And you can see that's going to narrow it somewhat. Obviously, in this case, I know the name I put in for first name, so I can just narrow it down to that one. And you can see this has just been requested at this point, and I'm ready to swear to it. So you're going to be, this is doing it in person. So you're going to be in the clerk's office, you pull it up, and then the clerk has an opportunity, obviously, to pull it up on their end and edit, change whatever they need to, ask you questions, whatever it is they need to do. But when everybody's ready and you're ready to swear to the warrant, then you're just going to go over here to this hyperlink. Now you can also view it right here. So if you click on view, it's going to open a new tab, and you can see if you want to, did I put this in right, or did I make sure this is the right one? You can go through and browse. You can go all the way, skip here to whatever tab you need to, and you say, yeah, okay, this is the right one. I'm ready to go. You can close it out. If you need to change something, then you would just click on update. Then it's going to take you back to that request or edit warrant screen, just like as you were requesting a warrant. You say, I need to change something on the charge, so highlight that, click on edit, and then you can go in, change whatever you need to. Otherwise, you're just going to say, it took me out, so I'm going to go back and search for that real quick. You can say, no, I'm ready to swear to it at this point. So you put that in. Requested. All right. So say, no, we're good to go. We're ready to swear to it. The magistrate's ready to swear to it. You're going to click on swear to warrant. It's going to give you some language here saying you understand you're initiating a criminal charge, and it's going to put in your /signature. It's going to have your name here. And then the magistrate will then put in their Alcourt Plus credentials to verify and say, okay, this one's been sworn to. I'm noting that it's sworn to. They're going to click OK. And then you're done on your end. And basically what's going to happen then is the clerk is going to go over here. This is the clerk's Alcourt Plus. Don't really have to worry about this, but I'll just show you on this warrant. They're going to get a flashing light here. It says they got a new requested warrant. They're going to click on that and then pull that warrant up. And then they're just going to simply click on, let's see, that's it right there. They're going to click on it. And then, of course, they can review it again real quick if they want to. Otherwise, they just are going to say, okay, we're good to go. I'm ready to issue it at this point. They click on issue and then click that issue button, and then they're done. So at that point, it's been issued. Now, actually, I don't have a scanner, so it's giving me some errors. They're going to put in, this is a probable cause warrant. The person's going to be either arrested or they're going to be released on a, let's say, cash bond for, whatever it is, $1,000, any bond conditions here. And they do, okay, issue requested warrant. Are you sure you want to issue? Yes. Okay, so they get confirmation. It's generated the warrant number for them. And they're going to click on OK. They have this same kind of keep option that you had. So if they were doing a warrant for somebody off the street and they're putting it in themselves, they have the ability to keep that information and do another one. Otherwise, they're done on their end. So now you can see when I go in here and search, if I leave it as requested and click on search, it's not there anymore because now it's been issued. The only way it's going to show up is either in issued, or if I did all, it's going to pull all of them back. But you can see here now it's been issued, and I'm good to go on that one. So that is how you would swear to it in person. The other option is you can swear to these remotely as well. So, if your day off or you don't want to travel over to the courthouse, you have this option to swear to it electronically. So how that will work is basically when you're ready to swear to one, you're going to, call, email, or text the clerk's office, however y'all want to arrange that. The clerk's office may say, between these hours on these days, we'll have somebody ready, on Zoom ready to swear to. So just depends on how you want to work it out, but you do need to let them know. Just kind of think of it as instead of walking in, you're giving them a call or whatever and saying, hey, I've got some warrants here or a warrant and I'm ready to swear to it. They'll either say, okay, let's do it right now, or they say, give me 5 minutes, whatever the case may be. You arrange that time. Let's say they say, okay, we're ready, let's go ahead and do it. Then in that case, instead of searching for it and pulling it up like that, you just going to click on this swear to warrant button right here. So you would just click on that. And what that's going to do, that's going to pull in every warrant that you have submitted, that you've requested and you've submitted over to the clerk's office that haven't been sworn to yet. So we've got a bunch in here for tests. You probably won't have that many in at one time, or you may, I don't know, just depends. But this will be all the ones that have been sent over that you're ready to swear to. So you can do multiple. You can go ahead and tell them, I'm going to do multiple warrants here, or you can say, I just have one. Then you're just going to click on that one. But you can see here, it gives you, the information. These are just some test ones that we had over here. So you would click on that. You can do multiple warrants if you want to. But you just click on it, basically saying, all right, I'm ready to swear to this one. You do have too an option over here, and it's over on this side. So if you see our pictures over here on our camera, you may need to click the top and drag to get over to see it. But on this far right over here is a view option. So if you wanted to make doubly sure, you can go over, this is a hyperlink, this view button over here. Just click on that and it'll actually pull up that warrant. So then you can go through and look at it and make sure you got the right one or what have you. But otherwise, this is the one. I'm going to check it. And then you're going to go up here and you're going to click on this swear lock selected warrant button. So swear to the warrant. This is what you click. Once you click on that, you're going to get that same kind of language saying you understand you're starting a criminal proceeding. You're going to click on swear, and then that is going to launch the Zoom application from there. Now, if this is a device you've already used Zoom on before, you're going to get what I just got. It just says open Zoom launcher. You click on that, and then boom, you're in Zoom. And then you'll either you'll go to that same screen that you got when you first logged on here for our meeting, just the waiting room screen. You'll get that, and it may say, you know, the host hasn't joined yet, or if the magistrate is already in there before you, it'll say, you know, you're waiting for the host to admit you. So they'll just admit you in, and then you're in a meeting face to face, just like this. So that's the rule on swearing to these remotely by law, by the rules of criminal procedure. You have to be able to see and hear each other simultaneously. If this is your first time using Zoom on the device, then you'll get a little prompt here to download the app. I do recommend downloading it. It's a short download, very quick, simple download, and it's a lot easier then to use that application. You don't have to download it. It'll still do a connection via the internet through websites, but it's generally easier to get more features if you use that application. You can use your phone or a tablet. It's a little bit harder because, you know, it's not built for an iPhone, so you don't have you know, everything's not shrunken down or look differently. You're going to have to do some pinching and, you know, expanding screens and all that to be able to do it, but you can use your phone if you want to. I think if it's the first time you're doing it on your phone, it would give you a link here to go to your app store to get Zoom. It's a free application. So if you are going to use your phone, you might want to download that before you even do this, and that way it'll just launch it automatically. But you can use your, at least I know Android and iPhone, but I'm pretty sure it would work for some other ones as well. As long as it has a camera and a microphone, because that's what we're talking about, is you have to see and hear each other, or you do have an option to you know, just have the camera on, and then you can use another device to call in. It has call information as well, but we can get into that specifics if you're in a situation where you have to do that. So that's as far as I can go. I can't show you. If I clicked on that, that would start the meeting, but we can't have a Zoom meeting in a Zoom meeting, so I can't show you beyond that. But it's simply that easy. I mean, you're just going to click on that, then click on OK to launch Zoom, and then you're in the Zoom meeting with the clerk. And then from that point on, they take over as far as marking it sworn. They're going to talk to you about the warrant. They're going to have the ability to actually pull up the warrant as you're talking about it, and they can share the screen like I'm sharing my screen right now. They can share their screen and show you the warrant, and then go in and say, you know, this part right here, tell me more about that, or this doesn't make sense, or I need to change this. You know, that literal language, this may be where they say, okay, see here, we need a date in this field. They can do all that, and they can share it with you so you can actually see them making the changes. Also, they could give you the ability to edit it yourself while you're on the Zoom meeting. So they can share the screen, but then they can give you control of their computer. So if they give you control, then you could actually go in and type in the changes on the warrant. So there's a lot of different options there, but generally they're probably just going to, and again, if you don't want to see it, you can tell them, you know, you can just have a conversation with them and say, yeah, go ahead and change that, and they can change it. But generally speaking, they're probably going to share their screen and show you the changes that they're making. But as far as your end, again, all you're doing is picking which one, clicking on that, and it launches Zoom, and you're good to go from there. So that one, same way that when they're done, they're going to click it sworn to and issued all in one click. And then again, it'll show up on your side as being issued. And so then you're basically just waiting to execute it at that point. All right, so I'll show you the execution. Is very simple, very short. But as far as for the swearing to the warrant, at this point now we've shown you how to request it, you submit it, and then now we've shown you how to swear to it either in person or remotely. Any questions on anything so far that we've covered at this point? And again, you may be muted, so you need to turn yourself off if you're muted, unmute yourself, or you can type a message over here in chat. Any questions on that? Okay, I'm not seeing any, so we'll move on to executing the warrant. All right, so let's say at this point you're ready to execute the warrant. Let's say you're going to go to this address to execute the warrant, then you want to print out a copy. Then again, you just pull up that warrant via search. You can search, you know, a number of different ways. We'll do that test one that we used earlier. We already know it's been sworn to, it's been issued. So we're going to pull that up. It's in the issued stage. Okay, we can see it's right here. And all right, so at this point, let's say we want to print out a copy, so we have a hard copy to give to the defendant. We pull it up, and then you're just going to go to the view warrant. This is a hyperlink here, so you just hover over it, click on it, and again, it's going to pull up your tabs here. You're going to go down to the documents part, and you can see here now, here's your deposition complaint, and then here are your arrest warrants. Now, it generates an arrest warrant with the full social on it, and then it generates a redacted. It's going to redact everything but the last 3 digits. So probably just want to use the redacted one. You're going to click on view. It pulls up a PDF, and you can see it's generated the warrant now of what you put in and what was sworn to and what's been issued. It's got you know, the warrant number here at the top. There's your defendant information and the bond information that the clerk put in. You can see now it's filled in the magistrate's electronic signature. And then, of course, there's the defendant's information and the witness information here. So this is PDF. Again, if I just want to print, then I'll just go up to print, click on print, and it's going to, you know, print out the copy for me. Or you can download it, you know, whatever the case may be, whatever you need to do, you go ahead and do that. Then you've got your paper copy. You go arrest the person, give them the copy of it, and now you want to mark that it's been executed. So I've already got it pulled up, or you can search for it, and then you're going to go over here, and this is also a hyperlink, this execute warrant button. You're going to click on that, and it's going to pull in the warrant information. It's going to pull in, well, you'll put in the date and time that the warrant's been executed. So let's say it was today, and it was you know, whatever time, 7 a.m. Okay, puts that in, and then you mark whether they were released as authorized or if they were taken to jail, depending on what was on the warrant. In this case, we'll say taken to jail. And now you can see here, it defaults to my name because I'm the one that clicked on execute warrant. But let's say, you know, you're out in the field, you've executed the warrant, you've arrested them, but then you know, you want to get it marked executed right away, or you know, you've got another call, you've got to go somewhere right now, and you don't have time to mark it in the system. You can, you know, call in to the station or call your buddy, whatever, anybody that has access to the system and has the right privileges can mark this executed for you. So let's say I'm doing it on behalf of another officer. I clicked on execute, so I put in the right information. But then instead of my name, because I'm not the one that actually arrested them, I click on that drop down. It's going to have all the officers in your agency in here. So let's say it was actually Stephen Hunt that did it. I would click on his name and click on OK. And now it's going to, well, another thing we do here is we throw up some warning language. As far as entering and taking this in and out of NCIC, that is not automatic. So we put some language in here to remind you, whatever your process is right now for getting this in and out of NCIC, you're still going to continue to do that. Down the road, we want to get to that point. We're working with Aaliyah on that, and we want to get to where all that happens behind the scenes so you don't actually have to do that manually. But right now, continue your same practice, whatever you're doing, to get this in and out of NCIC. So that's just simply a reminder there. But you click on OK. So now you see it's left because it's no longer issued. And if I were to want to find this warrant now, it's going to show up in the executed search. Well, not yet, sorry. actually what happens first is the clerk is going to get another notice here of when you execute that warrant. They're going to get an automatic notice. They're going to click on that, and they get a list of everything that's out here that's been executed. They see that one. This is the one that got executed. They can take a look at it, and you can see after the warrant's executed, anytime you pull it up after that, it'll be the same on your side. We put a big watermark across it, so there's no doubt if it gets printed out at this point that it's already been executed. Same thing if it was recalled. It's going to have a big recalled watermark across every page of it, so that you know. But otherwise, they go, okay, this one's been executed, everything looks good. They're going to click on post, click the post button, and then they get a confirmation. Now it's been posted. We're good to go on their side. So now when you look over here on your side and you do a search for this warrant, it shows up as executed. Now you know that one has been taken care of and you're done with that one. And again, if you needed to get a copy of that again, you can go into that view warrant. Otherwise, if it's let's say it's a situation where you got to do a new warrant on Joey Test, and you're like, nah, this guy's a freaking liar. I know, I just did one on him. Maybe this is like the same or similar circumstances, and you don't want to start from scratch. You want to pull in some of that information from your old warrant. Then you can search for them like we just did. Go over here, and this is a hyperlink here for request warrant. And you can just, rather than start new, you would start here with request warrant. But you want to pull in all this information from an old warrant, you do request warrant. It starts you back. This is just like if you kept information when you were first putting it in, it's going to pull up that old warrant, and then you can go through and change whatever you need to. You say, this is old Joey, he's done something else. Then you would just go in and delete this charge out, put in your new charge, click from tab to tab until you're done, and then hit submit. So, you may have all the address information, all that stuff's the same. You can keep that and just continue to do it like that. So that's it on the execute side. It's really just a matter of clicking that button and then putting in the time and date information on your end, and then you're done. So any questions on the executing a warrant? And let me add too, well, let me show you back here. When you log in, this is the screen that you're going to see, and it's going to show you all the warrants from your agency, basically for your county, are going to show up here. And you can see it's showing you right now, all in county, those that have just been issued. But you can also look at all that's been requested, all that's been recalled, and all that's been executed. So you see here how this one now is showing up in this gold color. The gold is indicating that it's something new since you've logged in, or since the last time that you've logged in. So this is a way too, if somebody's monitoring this, they can see when something's new. If there's been newly issued warrants, you can go to this tab, and any new ones that showed up since you last logged in, they're going to show up in that gold color. So that's one way to keep up with what has been issued and what's out there ready to be executed. We also have another way, and most places do a combination of both these ways, but we have another system, notice system, where, and a lot of counties have taken advantage of this. They just set up like a generic email, like eWarrants at montgomerypolicedepartment.gov, whatever your address is there. They'd set up a unique email address and then let us know, hey, this is the email address we want to use. Then whenever anything happens with a warrant, the system generates an email, and it shoots an email over to that address. So, anytime it's issued, requested, recall, anything happens with that warrant, an email goes to that email address. Now that's going to be for the whole county. So, we do put the ORI number and the agency name in the subject line, so you don't have to sit there and open every email to see what it is or if it applies to you. You would just simply look at the ones for your jurisdiction, and you can pull it up that way. So that's another way if you were to sit here and want to keep on top of what's been issued. Another thing I'll tell you too, the judges have the ability to issue bench warrants directly from the bench. It's really very easy for them to do that. We've made it very easy, so with a couple of clicks, they can issue bench warrants. When they issue a bench warrant, it comes directly from the judge over to you guys as showing up as an issued warrant ready to execute. So that it doesn't have to wait on the clerk to do anything. It comes directly over, and it would be showing up here as a new issued warrant ready to be executed. So just know that now the clerks do get a notification. They'll get an email in their email queue that says this judge has issued a bench warrant for this person. But otherwise, it'll show up as an issued warrant for you. And whenever you're ready to execute that warrant, you just do it the same way. New warrant search, pull up that warrant, and then click on the execute warrant link right here, and then the clerk's office would then get a notification that that warrant's been executed. Let's see, I'm trying to think if there's anything else we need to cover. Oh, like I said, on your home screen, this is the same thing you're going to see when you first log in. This is your all-in county. You can look at that. But there's also, sorry, it looks like we lost somebody. They're coming back in. There we go. In addition to your all-in county here, you see My Last 10. So if you click on My Last 10 right here, it'll show you just your last 10 that you've been working on. And you can see it's highlighted that one because all that's been new since the last time that you logged in. And again, you can look further to see what kind of charge it is, but that just gives you a quick view. And again, from here, if you wanted to request a new warrant on this person, you can click there. Or if you actually wanted to view the warrant, you just click on view and then go to the here. Again, if you wanted to print it out, that's where it's going to put that information. So that's just rather than go through the search menu, you can do it here. And right now it doesn't have the execute button on here, but I'll just put that into the programmers the other day. They're actually adding that. So I'll open it up for questions, but just to let you know, and also let me go ahead and put our contact information up here. Just to let you know, we are still, even though this has been around 6 years, we're still constantly adding and changing things on here. So as you go through this and you see things that you think will make it easier, additions, or if you find bugs, we're not finding near as many bugs as when we first started to do this, obviously, but anything like that, any suggestions, a lot of this stuff that I just showed you was not in the original version of this. This has been stuff that's been added on by officers and magistrates as we've gone along. So that's a good thing about coming on right now is y'all would be around county 18 or 20 or so coming on. We have a lot of flexibility right now to do changes like that because changes are global. It's going to affect everybody versus if you were one of the later counties coming on, it might be, your county 55 coming on, we're pretty much, set at this point. We're all established. So this is a good time to get feedback in. This is our contact information here at AOC. This is my name and number and email address here. Joey Hunt and Michael Gregory are with AOC IT. They've been working on this actually longer than I have. There's their direct contact information. And then as well, our entire IT support staff is up to speed on everything now. So if it's an IT kind of related issue, I'd recommend trying Joey and Michael first, but of course I'm available as well. And then, or you can reach our IT support by calling this number, and then it's option 1, option 4, or you can email IT support. And they're there from 7 to 5 every day, taking calls and answering as well. Generally, one of us three pretty reachable, and certainly if you shoot us an email, we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And the clerks know how to get in touch with us as well if you don't keep this information. Let's see, I'm trying to think if there's any questions at this point about this process. Again, I don't know when you're going to go live. The last word I got was as soon as possible after training. So I know we've got another date scheduled for this same kind of session on Friday at 6 p.m. And again, we're going to post this video, so we'll be I'll send a link along to Major Reeves on how you can get to this video if you want to watch it again or just refer back to a certain section. But I'm sure they'll send out the information of when you're going to go live on this. Let's see. So I'm going to stop sharing there to see if we got anything in chat. Any chat messages or any questions, go ahead and unmute yourself. Otherwise, feel free to contact me and let me know. If not, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. And again, don't get frustrated when you first do this. Contact a magistrate, say I need to come in and work on this with you because I'm just not sure. It's the first one I'm doing and I'm hung. Or you just want to start from scratch with them. They understand and they're willing to work with you on these, and we are as well. But otherwise, thank you guys. I know you're tired, so get some rest, and y'all stay safe. We appreciate what you do for us, and you guys have a good day.